Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GLL Grand Slam PUBG Classic. 9 matches have been played over today and yesterday, and we have 9 more to go. Look at our audience. How are you all doing this evening? Good to have you here in Stockholm, Sweden with us. Some people at the bar, which is the bar.
I thought that was your bar.
Where it becomes mine post 9 o'clock. Then it becomes Parler's final circle. And yes, that is my name. I'm Parler, your desk host. Pleasure to have you all here with us. I'm still joined by Steve and Patrick. Guys, we've got 3 more matches to go today, all on Miramar. Now we're switching between the maps. What can we expect to see?
I mean, we're at the halfway point, right?
Yeah.
The tournament is halfway over. The pedal is to the floor, right? Like, there's no hitting the brakes. I really messed that one up. But it's time for those teams to step up. You gotta win. You gotta smack this one out of the park going forward.
Yeah, Patrick, just quickly before we head over to some paddle action as opposed to pedal.
I want to see more coming out from Hell Yeah Brothers because we've seen them do pretty decent on Miramar yesterday. They got themselves 11 points out of 16. So they're definitely doing better on Miramar, and hopefully they can do a little bit better today.
All right, well, yeah, now it's time to see what another thing that I got up to the other day with some of the players. It was my first time ever playing paddleboard. Welcome everybody to the paddleboard court. My name is Parler. I'm with Reels from Pittsburgh Knights. The Pittsburgh Knights sounds like a dodgy porno. Anyway, welcome everybody to the paddleboard court. My name is Parler. I'm with Reels from Pittsburgh Knights representing the UK. He's on my team. And then I've got Panda and Logix from Singularity representing Argentina, correct?
From Uruguay and Argentina. There we go.
Good luck out there on the court. We should get our rackets. Let's do that.
Maybe you can borrow it from him. He brought his merch bag.
We have Joachim from GLL. He's a qualified racket referee.
And I will be the umpire for this epic clash.
Yes, he will be the umpire. All right, you guys ready? The game is from Argentina, so you've got to hold it down, Logix. That's a point to us. 15 love. 30 love. Great stuff.
Game, set, a match.
Are you allowed to stand in here, like...
Yes, you can stand whenever you want.
Oh, okay, cool. 40 love. Nice. And that's game. Yeah, let's talk about the first game, guys. Not much to say.
Oh, we are playing?
Yeah, it wasn't a warm-up. 40 love to Team UK. Good luck, guys. That's the lucky side. Pressure's on, guys. If you lose this game, we win. Juice! And he's aced him! No rules against speed and power. Look, GG. Wow, what an intense matchup. 3-0 for Team UK against Team Argentina, Uruguay. Has this helped you guys get in the right frame of mind for the competition on Friday? Come on, the UK. Come on, let's go get some tea, mate. Did you bring the crumpets?
Of course I did.
Nice, had a really fun time there playing paddle with Reels against Logix and Panda of Singularity. And why don't we turn our attention to that team? Singularity, at this point in the competition, probably need more points on the board. Not exactly going their way.
I think you weren't wrong. I think when you asked the question, did this prepare you for the tournament? And their reaction is about as savvy as it could have been. Right now, they are in 15th place. They're struggling pretty heavily. Their countrymen said that they expected a lot from them, that they thought that they were, like, when I talked to Bitloft, they said, well, we think Singularity is good, big competition. They're just as strong as we are. So my question is, how is that happening? Bitloft is putting in big numbers. They're showing some you know, brass pieces going after Na'Vi. Why is Singularity struggling?
Look, they came #1 out of their region coming in here. And I feel like they're just struggling because they got the land jitters, of course. That's first and foremost. But also, they're not adapting right now.
I think it's because Paula gave him a cold from swinging at him so much with the rackets.
Guys,
That's
you
your fault.
cannot blame their performance on me, and if you do, my lawyers will be in touch. With that said, our casters are ready. We've got a new pair raring to go. Guys, over to you.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm WTF Moses, joined by Matchroom, and we are getting ready for the next game. And this is a situation I don't think any of us really anticipated coming into this tournament. Athletico being in second place, having a terrific showing, and they are right behind Liquid, man.
I mean, I'm on the Aussie bandwagon right now. We've been seeing some great performances coming out of Athletico. Incognito, these guys have been showing up in a lot of interesting parts of the map, and I gotta say, really influencing rotations. A lot of influential fights have happened because of these two teams and how they're moving through the map.
Watching that last game play out, the rotations were such a big deal, and so much aggression coming in those rotations, no less, where we saw Team Liquid, you know, shooting at cars in the move. They're trying to attack. G2 was doing the same thing. A long, long time ago, in a little tournament called IEM Oakland, there was an analyst named Steele saying, hey, you know what? At least you got a guy in the passenger seat. That's the most vulnerable time. You might as well start shooting. Maybe that's not the entire strategy, but it's been happening more and more, and it's been a good effect as you're picking up those, well, not easy points, but pivotal points in rotation.
Well, and we're also seeing a lot more, I would say, comfort coming out of certain teams now. Athletico being one of them, naturally Liquid as well. With that comfort comes a little bit more aggression, and that's always nice to see. And that kind of led to a little bit of the chaos we saw starting inside that last round, where we're starting to see maybe some of these drops being contested. We're also starting to see rotations get a little bit messier as people are being a little bit more aggressive in the earlier phases of the game. And that's going to kind of throw in a little bit of, I guess, hesitation from these lower base teams and trying to figure out how they're going to adapt to this.
And you know what? I would be remiss not to talk about the performance of some of the NA teams right now.
Oh,
we
God.
have not
Are we gonna
been
do this?
seeing the performance we expected, especially, I'll call them out, Cloud9. This is a high-powered team. They had a lot of momentum coming into this tournament. They've got a lot of power on that squad, but they've appeared to be lost in some situations where they're just not either pulling the trigger on the fight they need to take, dying too early, or over-peaking, getting punished. It has not been the tournament for Cloud9 or Tempo at this stage. I had a quick chat with them between the games. They're still feeling confident. They have the ability, but they need to remember they're some of the best teams and, you know, back-to-back NPL champions.
Well, I mean, with Cloud9 going into today, they had given over more points in deaths than they had generated themselves for their team. And while they are getting a little bit better, we haven't seen much out of them at this stage. Naturally, Tempo Storm as well. Tempo Storm was like heralded to be like, okay, look, these are the guys that win everything in North America. Not having the best time, but I gotta say, I still got my eyes on Rumblers at this point. They've had some standout performances so far. Great day yesterday. It seemed like the back half of yesterday was a lot more North America. Maybe with us coming in, we'll see that warm up a little bit, but also FaZe is starting to get on a roll today. And I mean, whenever FaZe starts feeling good, everybody has to be afraid.
Regardless of where you are on the leaderboard, there is no such thing as it's too early. You have lots of games left. The idea is that you don't. We're at the midway point already. There is no more time for mistakes if you're on the lower half of the leaderboard. And if you have one good game, it can propel you up the charts. But you have to execute. And this is the time. We're headed to Miramar. It's a completely different landscape than on Erangel. And you absolutely have to put the pedal to the metal, I believe is what Toppy's was trying to say. As we head into the plane and into the map, it's game time.
Base back down towards the south. So teams that are going to be wanting to cut up towards the north are going to have a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how they're going to make that work. Might be seeing a little bit of rotation modifications coming into play, specifically on these drops. But we've been seeing some very interesting circles going directly in opposition of plane path and making it very difficult for some of these teams.
Speaking of drops and patterns, I know that some of the CIS fans watching the fight that Na'Vi got themselves into the last game they were not happy. I mean, they felt that it was a trash compound that didn't have a lot of meaning, and to hot drop Na'Vi like that is just bad sportsmanship. But at the end of the day, you have to be ready. This is Battle Royale. This is not some playground game. It doesn't matter what's going on. You have to be ready to fight.
Gentlemen's rules go off the table once you start talking international events. You got to get every single point you can, and if you think that you can pull out some cheeky little drop or try to catch somebody inside a trapper very early, it will pay off for you if you can get it, but it's a double-edged sword. If you don't accomplish your goal in these drops, next thing you know, you have just fed over points to this other team and now confirm that they deserve to be at that location.
We're going to be taking a look at Team Singularity to start this game off. A team that is, you know, at the bottom of the leaderboard right now. They've only got themselves 24 total points. and they're right behind they're right behind Cloud9. Unfortunately, they have an opportunity to feast on some of these teams who are not feeling it and potentially jump up the leaderboard. Checking out the Pittsburgh Knights in rotation. Here's Singularity. For this team, we've seen Palme so many times in the past. I've known him through events like Broadcaster Royale, not to mention his stream. And this is a talented team. They have the ability, but they just have not been doing so well in this very, very difficult game.
Well, also it takes a little bit of time to kind of gel into a position once you move to an international event. Athletico, you can see Zoid trying to dodge bullets in midair, and I mean, these are some hard shots to hit,
Very
let's be honest. But that especially lets Singularity know, hey, these guys don't have a lot of loot at this stage. They're going to be dropping just on the outside of this. And if they decided to, they could be a little bit of aggression on this, but I think that they're just going to kind of let this one be.
Slow bullet speed on that AK makes it so difficult to hit those aerial targets, but Cloud9 finding themselves in a center position nice and early. They're going to have to get that loot off and running ASAP. They've been known for leaving their loot spots very early to prioritize position, and they do have Hacienda as the center point, so depending on what they want to do, 2-2 north-south, they have some options.
But again, a very southern plane path into a northern circle. That's kind of making it very weird for some of these rotations. Specifically, the southern-based teams are going to have to do potentially long wraps, either against the far east or go all the way around to the west and come in towards the north. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult for some of these guys, as we already have a lot of these teams very congested towards that San Martin location.
And around the south of San Martin is going to be a bit of a choke point. There's going to be a lot of map pressure coming from the southern side. Once that first circle starts to move, we will likely see, as we've seen so many times in the past, wide sweeping rotations on the east and west side of the map. Tempo's got that option, so does FaZe. But right now we've got Incognito trying to take some long distance shots. That's difficult to hit at the best of times. That's a lot of distance to cover, Matt.
Well, this is what I was talking about beforehand. We've seen Incognito and Athletico be very active in these early game positions. While not necessarily hitting the shots, you're at least forcing people out and away from you, and that's going to modify how some of these rotations come into play. So that's going to make these other teams have to kind of think about how they want to approach this whenever you have people throwing bullets at you from at least a good 500 meters away.
Ghost choosing to center up nice and early. They're on the southern side of the center point of the zone, but there should be some southern movement of this circle, so if they get lucky early on, they might find themselves in prime position. With Hell Yeah Brother, they are really spread out, Matt. They are all over the place right now.
Well, we're still kind of towards the early part of it. Different teams rotating very early. It seems like Hell Yeah Brother, not necessarily one of those teams that's in a rush to fully regroup, and that might be one of their problems where they're having a little bit of struggle towards the mid-game because it gets very difficult to regroup if you just have everybody flooding in and moving a couple of minutes after dropping and try to take over these key locations inside of the circle.
I'll be excited to watch FaZe Clan. They have a very easy northern rotation to come into maybe the north end of water treatment, take over that high ground. They have an absolute ton of space for where they'll be rotating from. So for FaZe Clan, they had a very close second place in the previous game. Athletico did take the victory. I think if they had a little bit extra strength, maybe Uba was there with them, that could have been another win for them today. Same thing with Liquid. I noticed in the previous game how they did attack Spacestation Gaming, but it ended up costing them a couple of players to the blue, and that is the razor-sharp margins we play with here, is even though they executed it perfectly, that zone will always be at your back if you're not careful.
Well, that's one of the problems when you're an aggressive team and you want to try to get some kills towards that mid-game. You have to be really cautious that you don't end up getting caught into a fight with the circle, but uh-oh, EB might find himself in a little bit of trouble in a second.
Fox stepping up. EB's going to hear it. He's in that slow, plodding bust, and they're going to have to dismount and take this. Jeems taking out the M4. I believe he's going to come up this ridgeline. This is a mini, actually. Not sure what he's got at the ready. He's going to only have to deal with that. The nade comes out, and that's going to set the pace nice and early. That looks pretty damn close, but not close enough to do any damage to Palme.
That's going to force Singularity back and away from this hilltop. They're aware that's a little bit too dangerous. See, Pandey already gotten taken out in the back, so they've lost their high ground cover. So they're just going to retreat out of this, just try to jump in the buggy, it looks like. But Jeems is unrelenting, still on the hunt for them. He's got that mini ready, so right as soon as they cross the top, his bullets are just going to start tearing into him. Can they make it behind the hillside? Yes, they can.
That was so close. They have got to be counting their lucky stars there, as Team Liquid will never back away from a fight. And Palme and the rest are going to have to back down into the additional compounds they've gathered. I don't think that for Team Liquid in that situation they were particularly ready for that fight, but that is a nice point pickup taking down Pandey.
So a little bit of spread coming out with the Knights as they're taking shots over toward Uba, and he's in a little bit of trouble. One more tap, drops him out, and there we go. Quick flush. Well, I would say quick flush. There it finally goes.
They didn't go wide on their rotation, Matt. They actually came a little bit closer onto the edge of the circle, and Pittsburgh Knights were there waiting for them. They did sneak through, but again, FaZe will lose one early, and it happens to be Uba once again.
I would venture to say that FaZe thought that this might be the weaker side where there weren't a lot of people at, so just kind of cut in, and they just happenstantly caught the one team that's over towards that northwest. Meanwhile, Incognito, YKKamukal already down. Looks like Ronin's trying to get the res over towards them, and they're going to be going up against the red Canids with a little bit of a spread, but it looks like Incognito's just wanting to get away from this. Grenade's going to bounce a little bit away from YKKamukal.
Utility already down. Going to probably back away from that ridge line. You can never be too careful, as they have not spotted everybody out. The way Na'Vi is going is the way I expected FaZe to go. Maybe trying to save a little bit of time. Does cost FaZe. Rejoining the fight. Incognito in the vehicles. They're trying to run away.
One FPS, just peppering in a couple of bullets, but really, I mean, at this point, it's going to be kind of hard to take him down. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of Red Canids just try to participate inside this, but Ronin's free from that trap and should be able to get away from it.
These early game skirmishes can be so costly. We're talking about Na'Vi last game. Even though they ended up losing the fight, the Bitloft, I believe it was just as damaged after it. That's kind of the pace of professional PUBG, where you know, these early fights can sometimes pick you up a couple of points, but can cost you in the long run. Athletico looking quite good. They have an interesting split. They are doing 2-2, I believe, 2-1-1, just holding on for this maybe first circle shift. FaZe, if they're lucky, they might be able to discover that Luke is by himself, and FaZe is the type of players that if they feel that there's any weakness on a compound, they will crash and take it.
I mean, they won't care. Even if they've lost one member, they can still feel like they can frag the rest of the world at any given time. Looks like Luke might find himself in a little bit of trouble. They're going to go ahead and hop in the vehicle and just get away from this potential fight that could happen for him. Luke's going to cut back down that hillside and should be able to meet up with the rest of Athletico. Meanwhile, Na'Vi still continuing their rotation, finally making it inside the safe zone, way up towards the north. And Spacestation Gaming hanging out inside the blue zone look like they're going to mirror that same rotation.
Yeah, they'll be taking their time here. The Pittsburgh Knights, they've found themselves some hard cover. Now the FaZe compound that's just been taken over, very nice compound to hold, especially in this area, but it's very flat all around it, and there's a sheer drop-off after it. So if they're not careful and the circle continues to shift north, it'll be difficult for them to leave without getting some attention. Team Liquid taking over Hacienda with Cloud9 right next to them with Ghost Gaming. So that center density, Matt, really starting to build.
Yeah, and with a couple of these teams that are coming in a little bit later, we are seeing just a direct push right up towards the middle. So now everybody that's kind of these late rotators are having to make their way outside in the blue. Naturally, Spacestation Gaming, I believe, has the record for the most movement right now across the map, both in vehicles and on foot, given based on where some of their drops are at. But meanwhile, we can see a little bit of a skirmish might be happening here. If you crest that hill, Ernesto, you might find Luke looking back your direction, but Tempo Storm running a little bit of an interesting split right now.
Zampa is potentially looking for a flank. He's still on his bike, rotating around, maybe thinking about rejoining Dre in the center as we see another circle shift. Ghost Gaming getting the centermost position in their 2-2 split, but this fight is going to kick off between Tempo and Bitloft.
Ragnar runs right down in the middle as Harold gets pushed away from this with Maluk holding the angle back over towards it, but Ragnar is already right inside this complex. Zampa aware of where he's at, prepping out that grenade that should land right back over there next to the vehicle, but can Ragnar get away from it? Yeah, he should be fine.
It's going to force him out in a way. It's going to cost them one vehicle, and I don't think they have any support. They do have the high side. Oh, what a shot from the top line. Takes down Zampa. Bitloft is now going to have an opening to potentially push down on this. Zampa being down as that's a red dot sniper, by the way. Now Maluk is going to have to rotate around, and here comes Sharky and Dre to support.
Reinforcements are coming back up this hillside. Ragnar has managed to survive for as long as he needs to. Grenades are going to start coming back around. That bounce could be a little bit important as Maluk is going to take a lot of damage. Very committed to trying to get Zampa back up.
Oh!
Grenade's going to go back over the side of that and going to take down Zampa.
That line of sight from the grenade, and the grenades will continue to explode as Maluk goes down. Now it's a 2v4 situation. It's an absolute artillery barrage. Dre is going to have to do something in the front lines. Ragnar's there, and the mollies start to go down. This is looking like Bitloft has this in hand.
Ragnar made the push back down there and is bringing a red zone with him. Doesn't matter about the Tempo Storm reinforcements. You can see your boy Dre's already taking some damage. Finally, Sharky does manage to take down Ragnar, but it is right as Harold comes in. Shots are going to come out from Ernesto and take him down as well.
Incognito has arrived.
2-1.
Incognito has arrived, and they're going to be playing a factor from the high side. It is only Dre left as they do steal the kill, and they will get one back, does Incognito, so that's a couple of points going to them. At the end of the day, it's Tempo getting the absolute worst end of the stick, as it's only Dre left, and he's got a lot of eyes on him.
Silzen is not around this location. It's really just Herald, but Incognito is still looking across the top. And good lord, what do we have going on over here? Singularity, Rumblers, and Team Liquid all making the push up on the same complex.
Very important compound here. Singularity's got the God complex as James is going to bounce one inside on the grenade. Look for a quick line, but it's going to be the Rumblers spotting them on the fence line. And this is going to be an interesting three-way fight. Singularity does have a decent setup, but James has been spotted, but maybe not. Pame just going to be forced back in. Wow, Stampy's going to go down first. This is a three-way fight, Matt. This is going to be difficult.
There's a lot of third party that's coming into play, but James just steps up, gets one for himself, looks around the other side, gets a little bit of damage off. James now retreating back. Only 2 members of Liquid up at the time. They need to get the damage back off towards Singularity, but I'm not certain if they know that this is 2 different squads that they're fighting at the same time.
That nade looks close, but not in line of sight as he's getting the med off. Singularity has been getting a little bit of damage, but Team Liquid appears to have 3 down, only James left standing. This could be disaster for them in the early game, still 15 up, 12 minutes into the game. Singularity pushing the action. James is going to have to defend. I don't know if he got the res on his Stampy. No, indeed. Team Liquid down, 15th place.
And Rumblers were making a push across the side of this. Looks like they were trying to get some angles over towards it. Meanwhile, G2 looks like they found themselves in a little bit of a difficult situation. They've got Red right over here next to him, so Brexico's going to have to figure out what he wants to do as Rumblers continue their push up around Singularity. You can see Waldo looking back up towards where Pome is at. Meanwhile, Low Kicks is just in a full defensive position right now, trying to get his health back up.
Nice containment here from the Rumblers. They've got them sewn into this one compound. Pome in the upstairs, and his teammate just down beside him. So now it's going to be a matter of waiting, but Rumblers are going to have the benefit of the circle, so that is going to make Singularity getting cleared out a top priority for the Rumblers. Ghost Gaming still feeling really good, but now we're going to have a ton of pressure. G2's got to make their way into the zone, and so do the Red Canids.
I'm going to be very interested to see how they make this push. With the way we have the lay of the land right now, over towards the east and towards the north, where it's going to be very, very dangerous, just based off of how the circles have played out. FaZe taking a couple of long-range shots back over towards Athletico. They're just in that Bronco, just trying to roll across the hillside. Looks like they're opting into a little bit more of a centralized rotation as well. Meanwhile, Cloud9 managed to cut back around this over towards the north. So it's really FaZe just holding back Athletico right now, as they still need to make their way about 500 meters down towards the south.
SSG making a quick rotation. They're going to pick up a compound next to where the Knights have set up. There's a bit of a high ground, low ground situation there. FaZe also going to make their way south. They might have a bit of a clash coming up with Cloud9, depending how far they want to go, or it could be Space Station. Meanwhile, G2 on foot, making their push into the zone. They're going to have to get through the Red Canids first. It's going to be Udir taking a couple of shots. That nice long distance spray, he will get him down. Nice shots there. Rusty is going to be in the down state. Now Udir's going to, set his sights, but he cannot get one. I think that was a headshot there, Matt.
Hell yeah, brother. Putting in a little bit of damage off to the side of this, but you can see Red Canids down in that little bit of a spot where they have grenades just rolling back down on top of him. Raspu has to get away from one, takes a lot of damage, and 1 FPS is trying to make it back over into the smoke to get the res off. Meanwhile, Udir is just trying to vie for a little bit more high ground positioning. That grenade might bounce down into the smoke. Oh, just a little bit short.
The low ground position so difficult to contend with G2 surrounding. Meanwhile, FaZe continues to take shots. Ace is going to get down extreme, going to go for the flush and the point. 1 more, 2 more. There you go, as AC will get the point, and Mixie will finish it off. And now it looks like Atletico's on foot. They've had to stop their vehicle, and FaZe wants revenge for the last game. The nades come out from AC. Meanwhile, G2 still taking shots at Red Canids.
G2 still holding down that high ground position, looking back down towards Red Canids. Looks like they've managed to get a little bit more of a defensive position, so Red Canids now playing inside the buildings, but you can see Brexico's just not relenting with it, finally getting called back from his teammates, going, okay, we can't make the push back down into this. We need to go ahead and go for a circle position at this point, because they're still not inside the safe zone.
Udir taking those shots. Can't get the down. So they're still not in the zone here, Matt. They're going to have to make a move. They've got Morados and bikes all over the place, but they're kind of deciding, is now the time to move? They've done some damage, and now is going to be the rotation as we continue to see some battling happening out there, as Athletico is just going to concede, I think. Fuzzface, he's done a lot of damage. I don't know who's left. It's just flooding the blue.
Look at this. FaZe Clan is just gatekeeping out Athletico and denying everything. So with this, that's going to be Athletico going out in 14th place. Meanwhile, FaZe still has no real neighbors except for Cloud9. Cloud9 with no clear sight lines right now. But we're starting to see, again, everybody pushing back down towards the center. Where's the next circle going to go is my question, because we still have really nobody back down towards that southeastern part of the circle, and it's just going to continue to center up.
Cloud9 is playing a 2-2 right now, late in this game, just headed into the 16-minute mark. They are looking towards FaZe, who've gotten their revenge on Athletico. But in this situation, if one of those players goes down for Cloud9, there's only going to be one there to defend, not to mention their IGL nerf. So I would imagine they're going to want to condense on the compound they've got. They're going to have a lot of vision from that spot looking south. Meanwhile, the Rumblers and Singularity are still having a staring contest inside the God compound, and that nade didn't look like it went very far. The flashbang's coming. Waldo's going to spot Palme. Nothing there, goes for the prone, waiting for the entry, but it's not going to come. This has been a staring contest for so long.
Meanwhile, you can see Harold gets taken out in the background of this. Waldo's trying to figure out if he wants to go for the push. Right on the other side of the wall, takes a lot of damage. One hit point just going to have to drop down. He knows it is too hazardous to go for any meds right now, but Palme not making the push. So Waldo just going to have to be as patient as he possibly can, as I believe the rest of the Rumblers are starting to try to come up, reinforce just a little bit. Rumblers have the numbers, but I don't know if they know that right now.
Well, they should have known that from the past, but it looks like they're going to lose Waldo and Godspeed very quickly. Singularity, it's been a 2v4 for so long, and the Rumblers have lost Los HD, and everything has come to a halt. And now they're potentially going to lose one more, as Juicy from so far can see with that mini, and he's looking for that precision headshot. Can't quite land it. There it is. And just like that, the Rumblers are eliminated. I cannot believe that after having the man advantage, the two-man squad from Singularity pulls them out and secures it.
G2's wanting to come and join this party down here. Singularity's been holding up for so long with Incognito taking the shots up towards the top of it. G2's now walking into a 4v2 situation. Meanwhile, Incognito, I gotta say, with those shots, really forced Rumblers to have to stop. They were trying to make a slow push over towards that building, and they just had to charge in after Incognito's long-range shots coming through there. Meanwhile, looks like Cloud9's got to push inside the building as well, as they're going after FaZe Clan.
Looks like they're getting some help from Spacestation Gaming, and that's going to be 2 quick downs and out. I believe only Fuzzface left. He's going to have to turn tail and leave. As for C9, they've, I think, picked up 1 or 2 points there, but Spacestation Gaming picked one up as well. And they're watching Fuzz retreat in the Murado, trying to land those long-distance shots. There's H-Win. He's got the ridgeline to work with, but all eyes are on Fuzzface. He's just trying to find somewhere to hang out right now.
He has found himself a couple of rocks to hang out with. Meanwhile, Spacestation Gaming going to go ahead and do a little bit of damage back over towards Cloud9. Looks like Wynn's right up next to Fuzzface. He wants to go ahead and polish this off. Going to go with the grenade, and there's not going to be a lot of places for Fuzzface to go, and he gets taken down.
Unfortunate 12th place position, but that is a sign of life from Cloud9 that we were hoping to see. Still 4 up. They've got a little bit of space on the northern side, but if this circle goes south, it is going to be very difficult for them to go south. As Charlie, now, hell yeah, brother, they're still 4 strong, but they've got 0 kills. And they're not quite in the placement yet.
We often talk about how dangerous it is on Miramar when you go for those high ground positions and how everybody can see you from so far away. Meanwhile, Spacestation Gaming taking a couple of shots back down towards Cloud9 still. Hell yeah, brother, looks like he knows where Red Canids are at. Grenade's gonna pop a little bit too soon.
A little long in the cook there. Overcooked the grenade, and the Canids are gonna chill. So it looks like Hell yeah, brother's gonna back away from this. They will blow up the buggy, but no kills collected.
It's a moral victory. You know, just go ahead and say, okay, you're gonna live there from here on out. Meanwhile, looks like
Navi's just kind of chilling there as well. They've been kind of inactive this game.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really had a need to do a lot after they made their push back down from the north. They got control over these buildings. Ghost Gaming has just been kind of peppering shots at anything they see moving around them. Knights has got their location, but Ghost Gaming, G2, this building that we've been fighting with Singularity for the longest time, just continues to be the center of the circle.
This is where Cloud9's got to make a difficult decision. Do you want to crash south immediately and grab that first available compound? Do you want to rotate, try and get around, get through Spacestation Gaming? Hell yeah, brother, is already on the move. Cloud9 needs to have made a decision already, and they are still on foot, and they are going to lose their priority compound to Hell yeah, brother. So that's going to make things so difficult for Cloud9. Ghost Gaming, meanwhile, they've been sitting pretty all game, man.
So with this, we've got Navi raining down some damage back over towards Hell yeah, brother. Going to have one of their members get knocked off on this, but looks like they do have the cover to kind of play around with this, so they should be able to get the res fairly easy. A nice rotation still coming in from a lot of these guys, but Cloud9's just kind of gate kept out right now, as well as Spacestation Gaming, and this is just death on anybody that pushes back down these buildings. We still have 35 people alive at this stage.
Cloud9's not moving. They're hanging out. Nerf is going to go down. Spacestation Gaming's got a nice line of sight. Valiant is just going to wait for Nerf to go down, but Navi is actually going to take it from across the map, so that point will go to Navi. Baja, he's going to have to move around. I mean, even Spacestation Gaming, as much as they want to put the hurt on Cloud9, they have got to find a place in the new zone. The Knights and Ghost Gaming are feeling real good right now.
I mean, Spacestation Gaming and Cloud9 are just killing each other at this point. Neither one of them are trying to break away from the fight. Instead, it looks like Cloud9's actually pushing back over towards them, and that's just going to allow the blue zone to do so much damage. Plus, they're just relenting any position inside this new safe zone. They don't have anywhere to go, really.
Profi, you can see, is via the Toby eye tracker, is looking for somewhere to go. As he can spot all of Spacestation Gaming. They're on foot, and now the shots come out, but he's going to easily trade it down. And Valier is going to finish that off if the blue doesn't do it for him. But oh my God, Na'Vi from across will take another point out of the mouths of Spacestation Gaming.
Spacestation Gaming making the push. They might have the inside track onto Cloud9, depending on how quickly they can get back over towards cover. Meanwhile, we still have Singularity alive. Through all the teams that have been fighting them, they've managed to kind of carve out this one little building, although Brexico keeps looking back that direction like he wants to go for it. Now Cloud9 just down to K-Mind, as, again, he still probably has about 50 or 60 meters to go, but not a lot of cover work with, as Brexico finally making the push over.
Singularity's been here for so long, and now they've got some new roommates in G2. And I've got to say, I believe G2 is maybe a little bit more adept at clearing these things out. Unfortunately, the Rumblers were unable to do it previously, but they've held on. They've held on for a little while longer, and they're almost near those placement points. Meanwhile, I think it's over for Cloud9. They're just going to give it up to the blue.
And Spacestation Gaming.
Yeah,
Incognito's got the angle back onto him. It took them too long to get back over to this location. Baja goes down, just going to be flushed out, and really it's just two members from Spacestation Gaming throwing what utility they have, just trying to make it inside the safe zone, but Incognito is just unrelenting right now.
This blue is going to do a ton of damage. It's already shifted, and that is going to start to chunk. You can already see Maythang going down to the blue. Valier takes a lot of damage from it, and now, again, the circle will center up on Ghost Gaming and the Pittsburgh Knights, with Singularity and G2 having priority on the southern side.
Not a lot of teams really having to move. K-Mind up inside the blue, going to be hanging out there for a while. Valier also in trouble. Incognito really the only team that has to move, but hell yeah, brother, making a push back down towards Ghost.
No!
Grimsy comes out and nets two right off the startup.
That is so unlucky. Look at the way that Murado mounted the dead car next to it, and they got forced out on the same side. Easy pickings for Ghost Gaming, and now it's going to be Ghost trying to clean this team up and maintain the superiority in their compound. Crush is getting forced out into the zone, and with all the utility down, they have almost no options. It's only Crush left standing. He's basically on fire, and they're down and out. Hell yeah, brother. Nice try.
But with this, Navi's managed to kind of sneak back over to a couple of positions where they can do a little bit of damage back over to. Look where the Murado is at.
I know.
It's just flat up on top of this. So now you can see McCoy trying to get a little bit more defensive, as Navi trying to go for a little bit of a better sight line, but I don't think that they're going to be aggressively pushing this yet. Meanwhile, Incognito's Ronin starting to push back over towards Singularity's complex.
This is the game that Ghost wants. They just want to hang out, pick up as many kills as they can. Now the eyes turn to Na'Vi. They don't have a lot of cover to work with, but on the high side, the Red Canids got a lot of eyesight, and they're going to take down Senya. A doozy. He's going to have to oh, he's going to return fire with the SLR. And, oh man, this is going to have to be a quick res. That zone is coming.
But they're out. They're so far outside of the safe zone from anything that they can get to any form of cover. I mean, sure, they only have to go about 50 meters to make it in, but there's nothing to really work with. So they're going to just go over the top of that hill, and it's just going to be so hard. It's just going to be like shooting anything that moves up there. Are they going to be able to find something to work with? Maybe back down this hillside, there might be a rock that's in play.
There's a little bit of a ridge. I don't think they're going to have to turn in really quick here. They might run out of cover. They're just waiting to see how close they can get to G2. This compound has been contested the entire game. Here comes Incognito. They want a piece of the pie now.
I mean, this has just been bloodbath central here towards the center of this complex. Singularity's kind of caught up trying to figure out what's going on with G2, and looks like they're not aware of how Incognito is making this approach back over towards this. And now they could find themselves with a lot of unfriendly neighbors. Meanwhile, Red Canids trying to make the cross back over here, and G2 is not going to allow it. That's going to be one FDS going ahead and getting taken down. Now it's just on to Psycho.
Not a lot of options. He's going to have to move. He's just barely on the edge of the zone. They have a rock to work with. He's going to step out. G2 is going to line him up. Breaksco has been a precision shooter with that mini. And here come the grenades. Chris wants to finish this off and clear this side out. There it is.
Rock's going to bounce it away, but with the distraction of Red Canids pushing on that other side, I don't think that G2 has been paying attention, and I don't think they had sightlines back over towards Incognito. So there are 10 people right on the edge of this. A new circle pops. This building is not inside of it. Everything's going back over towards Ghost. So all these guys are going to have to vie for a little bit of space inside this new safe zone.
This road is the absolute destruction right now. They're going to have to come through the open against all three teams. I only imagine one team is going to survive this crossing, Matt.
But look, Brexico kind of realized their positioning might be a little bit vulnerable. Went ahead and went for a reposition, so already got a little bit of a foothold inside the new safe zone and can look back down towards what could be a just perfect kill box for all these other guys trying to make it out of this building. Meanwhile, Knights very content where they're at. They're not going to have the best sight lines on this movement. Incognito aware that they don't have an easy cross back over towards it, so trying to make a way across that road, but there's no cover to work with. G2 just has the angles for it.
Incognito's got to make something happen against Singularity and then G2, which is going to be very difficult. The Knights will have perfect sight on them if they come down the hill. And look, they know that. They're going to step up to the roadside. That is going to be a bit of a risk, as I believe Ghost Gaming might be able to see them. I can't recall the sight lines from that side of the building that Balak's on, but they're going to step up and they're going to start pressuring Incognito, using the zone as a sandwich.
Well, Ghost has to contend with Na'Vi that's slowly creeping up back behind them. Finally, we do see Palme get spotted out. Now it's just onto low kicks. Looking back over towards Ronan. Nice spray is going to go ahead and take him down. But he's just the last member standing. Meanwhile, Knights, they did find that angle back over towards Incognito. The grenade's going to go out. I don't think it's going to connect with anything, though. Yeah. Might roll back over to inside, but no, it's going to be protected by a little dumpster there.
Incognito is in rough shape right now, with the Pittsburgh Knights looking one direction, the zone at their backs, G2 looking at them down the road. It's only Longquicks. He's with Singularity. They've held this compound for as long as they possibly can, but now the blue is telling them it's time to leave, and G2 is in prime position to pick up some more points.
Knights has forced Incognito back over towards G2. Udyr gets a nice spray back over there. He's going to take down one of them. Instantly flushes it out. Now Wykick and Mukau's trying to figure out how he wants to make the push back over to here, but really G2 just has complete and utter control over this. A lot of utilities already been used, but look at this. Chris just has an angle from the other side. He's managed to sneak across the road through all of this chaos. Long-range grenade's going to come out, but Wykick and Mukau's almost dead, and there we go. Incognito is out.
And now that means Ghost Gaming is going to have to start to pick up some points here. They've been in a good position, but they've only got 2 kills, and everyone else is starting to overtake them. Na'Vi with 3 and G2 with 7, and we are going to see the circle go towards G2 and Ghost Gaming. Ghost has got to make something happen here, Matt. Na'Vi is going to have an even harder push to come south, and Pittsburgh Knights will have to leave their cover.
Looks like G2 is aware of where Knights is at, looking back over towards Na'Vi. Going to go ahead and pin them down just a little bit, as Na'Vi is still going to have to make a little bit of a push back over towards where Ghost is at. Looks like G2's got themselves a nice prime position. They can play along this hilltop. Good sight lines back down. Don't have to really worry about G2. Can really focus all their attention back over towards Na'Vi and the Knights.
Shots from Chris. He's got the mini at the ready, and there's only a small ridge line protecting Na'Vi. The circle moving once again in about 9 seconds, so the utility has to come down now, and Na'Vi is going to have to make a desperate push, but he's out of cover. Pokemonador is going to go down to Drayden, and they just have nowhere to move, as Na'Vi's only left with a doozy, and this is going to be maybe a point steal. Chris is trying his absolute best, but meanwhile G2's coming down the ridgeline onto the Knights.
A doozy did manage to sneak down using the smokes to make it just a little bit further forward, but he still has to creep back up next to Ghost. Knights have taken a lot of damage as G2 has had to focus all their attention back over there. Grenades are raining down. You can see Wanted's just trying to stay alive through this, trying to get a res back over towards it, but look, it's G2. They're just not going to let any movement come out from Knights.
Ghost, I would like to have seen them maybe step out and try and take some of these points away, maybe third party, as G2, once they complete this fight against the Knights, they're going to have full attention towards Ghost Gaming, and they've got the firepower. You can hear that M249 absolutely ripping. Udyr's going to get another one, and the nades continue to roll downhill. Likely the Knights going to be finished off here with Na'Vi's a doozy, the last man standing. They did step out. They're looking for him on the northern side. Chris now getting active, looking towards Ghost.
I mean, I'm 100% with you right now. Ghost has been too passive during this stage. G2 has just been dancing around the southern part of the circle, just taking out anybody that they want to. Drayden is just in absolute fear back down there as bullets are just raining down from this huge gun right now down into the smokes with nowhere for him to go. Meanwhile, G2 caught off on the side of this, taking shots at Ghost, as well as Ghost is already having to use utility.
Ghost has basically given up center control with the high side. They're going to smoke him out, make them come out blind, and that is going to be so difficult. The long-range shots are not going to be helpful, and already Chris takes down Balak, and that is going to be either a res or an abandon, and more nades are going to follow this. The Blues at their back. Ghost has just wasted so much time, and now they're basically being forced out into the open. They have to come out blind from the smoke, and G2 is going to rip them apart. McCoy's the man in front.
Making the push off to the side of it. Udyr's looking back down towards Balak and the people that they have down. He's going to come back over to this, and G2 with a dominant 14 kills. Gonna take the win.
Easy for G2 in that situation. They stepped up, they absolutely shredded, and you can see the smile on Chris's face. That man is an absolute beast. Ghost Gaming had that compound in the center the entire game, and we waited so long for them to do something with it. But at the end of the day, it was a couple of kills and a second place. It's not a total loss, but it could have been so much more for our NA team.
I mean, really, Ghost had a little bit of a trouble with the angles back up towards that hill. But we had Knights that were hanging out over there for a while, G2. They had Na'Vi that was repositioning around there, and they were just so quiet the whole time with it, not really just trying to take control of the territory around them.
And you know what? It's difficult because in Miramar, you have so many sight lines to contend with. You step out into a window to try and steal a kill. Next thing you know, you're getting popped from a hillside. But at the end of the day, man, that one compound with Singularity, that was like the pivot point of the entire match. G2 did arrive a little bit later on, and they played it nice and patient. They wound up with a crate as well, so they got the M249. G2, they are an absolute force to be reckoned with. They will take control, Matt, and they will dominate.
And I love how the fact that they don't overcommit to anything at any given stage. It's always very methodical as they make their approach. Even whenever they were holding down that complex where we saw the Singularity was at and Incognito was making the push onto it, they knew. We just go for this position, send somebody across the road. Now we've got control on everything as everybody tries to move across, and just easy kills just to mop it up.
You know, we're not trying to be homers here, Matt, but what is going on with these NA teams right now? Cloud9 is just basically waiting for the blue to overtake them. Spacestation Gaming, waiting for Cloud9, and it's just a domino effect where all these guys start to fall, and they're not putting themselves in position to win. Ghost Gaming, even in position to win, didn't want to be too active. Maybe it's a bit of nerves at this stage.
It just feels like they're choosing the wrong times to go aggressive. Like whenever the circle's closing in on you and you don't have any territory you can move into is when they choose to fight instead of moving early and fighting for the territory inside the safe zone. But let's go ahead and get a breakdown of what happened inside that last round as we've got Rachel sitting down with G2.
Thanks, Matt and Moses. I'm here with Canids and Chris. Chris, we've been watching you pop off in the kill feed. You have been exceptionally accurate throughout this tournament. Now you're up here for the second win today for G2. How do you turn it on like that?
Yeah, I don't know, really. It's just a good game for us. And second win of the day was pretty important for us for the points. And yeah.
Also helps a little bit for motivation too. It's got to feel good to get those points under your belt to start moving up that leaderboard. Talk to me about the team's entire conception of this tournament. Do you have a strategy overall for how you're going to win day to day? Or are you just going into every game playing your very best?
We're just trying to secure all the kills, and if we have the position, we just play for win.
Well, let's talk about position here. You guys started in the north of the map, worked your way down to the south, and had a nice 2-2 split throughout most of the circles. Talk to me about that thinking and how you decided when to come together and push.
I mean, you need to get information in the first circle. Yeah, so... I mean, the mid-running point was where I saw that two teams were fighting at the middle compound. So we decided to breach it, and it was free, and yeah, we won from there.
Of all the teams you crashed, who was the scariest? Who put up the biggest fight?
Probably Liquid.
Any thoughts on that, Chris?
FaZe.
Excellent. There's a lot of Titans in this tournament. You're facing teams from all around the world. Are you feeling pretty confident that it might be an EU team at the end of the day?
For sure.
I love that confidence, but I know there's so many scary players here. So how is your team handling this in the off hours? What do you do when the tournament ends yesterday? Did you go back? Did you study? Did you review VODs? Anything secret?
Yeah, we watched together the VODs and analyzed how the other teams played.
And what was the biggest thing you noticed watching yesterday's games? What did you see that you wanted to fix for today?
I don't know. We just have to play our circles slowly, and if we had a circle, we just go for a win, and if we not, we go for the kills.
Well, you got a couple circles this last game. You had a very comfortable compound. I want to know, what were your thoughts on defending this compound, and when did you decide to move out?
I don't know, really. We were kind of lucky that we don't get breached and get punished for it, so we just played it out.
Lucky you didn't get breached. Excellent instincts on when to act. G2 picking up 2 wins today. Let's send it up to the analysts and take a look at how they did it.
Thank you very much, Rachel. A great cast from Moses and Matrim. Guys, G2 with their second chicken dinner of the day. A repeat chicken, as I like to call it. And it's Chris. He's a bit of a grenade master, isn't he?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he blew every grenade that their entire team had at that moment.
Yeah, there was a lot of nades raining down, but we also see that happening in PL a lot. Him picking up a few nades and just killing people with them.
Well, I mean, that's the point when you want to be using them, right? When in the last sort of 1v1 or 4v4 is not where their optimal value is. It's sort of eliminating threats, locking up parts of the map, and by using those grenades and getting where Knights sort of was, they were able to set up, I think it was Brexco who had the M24, or the M249 was able to get that spot, move around on a flank, pressure Ghost as they tried to come out of the smokes, and then it was an easy win. So you use those grenades in that sort of late game before the final fight, and then they executed that perfectly.
I mean, it's not always you have all those nades to your hands towards the end there as well. A lot of the times you need to use the nades before that to actually make a move to get to the end game.
Absolutely. They did it right. They found a compound that was jam-packed with other people. I mean, it was literally just a turnstile of people coming in and going out, massacre after massacre, fight after fight. We saw the Rumblers get just slaughtered inside of there. And part of that was the way that the positioning fell out.
Yeah. A turnstile of massacres, perhaps. Yes. Let's head downstairs and check in with Toby for our breakdown.
Thank you, Paolo. When we talk PUBG, info is key. And when we talk info, you need that to make rotations. And what better place to do it than sitting up sky high on Miramar? One team I want to take a look at in this game is Incognito. We look right here, just moments before the third circle pops. We have Insight. He's sitting down on the southern side here. We have his teammates all over on the western side towards Minas. From here, they can see practically everything going on all the way around here. They have a great overview, knowledge of where fights are happening, who's up against who. And with this much knowledge, they might not be able to compete at the compounds, but they know where they can go, where they can't go. New circle pops though, that's where things happen. We see it, boom, immediately, Ronan and Inside, they rotate back towards their teammates in Incognito. Now a new situation erupts. If we take a look at the southern side and compare it as to how many teams are up north, let's take a look real quick. You have this entire area down here. A field that Incognito knows that if they get the circle going down there, that's going to be where they can go. They've been looking at all these compounds on the northern side of the road. There are people everywhere. The kill feed is lighting up. All the compounds have been contested already. And they're saying, if we're getting out of here alive, this is the spot that we're going to go to. And the way they make sure to claim it, look at this. We have the guys in Bitloft. At some point, they start making the rotation over when the circle comes. Immediately, as they drive on forward, you have Ronan and you have Inside up there applying pressure. They want to crash the middle, right where we see here the white line. Damage is being done. They need to continue. They need to send them away to the other side of the road. They are forced to go up into the silos. They end up going down because of it. One team out of the way. Spot still yours. Now they start realizing, well, that was the first team. There could potentially be more teams coming in that direction. We need to claim it, and we need to claim it right now. So what they do, Inside takes the bike, sends it down into the dip, and he is the one to sit down there, wait, hold it tight for his teammates, so that when they do decide to go down there, they'll be safe as well. In the meantime, normally you'd argue that teams tend to push down there early, but because of the situation that they're in, they still have the overview. They have a great view of everyone, and by staying, they're saying no one's gonna crash that. This is ours. We can fight these guys from a distance, and not before the circle practically is on top of them is when they go down. Now, being down here, good position for them. We can have a little highlight thrown in there as well. See it right here on our screens. They're on the southern side of your monitor. I would argue, and I don't think Incognito, I don't think they would be upset with me if I said they aren't the better up-close team in this lobby. There are teams that are really, really scary to go up against close. What they can do, though, is from a distance, they apply damage all the time. So great job in getting to this point after the map. Secure themselves a 6th place, 8 kills with it. I believe a 5th place, actually. 8 kills with it. 11 points in the game. They have nothing to be upset about. Paula, back to you.
Thanks so much, Toby. Very astute point there. Incognito did a great job of controlling the engagements and getting a lockdown on that field. Guys, any other closing thoughts about that matchup?
I mean, I think that sums it up. There was smart movements by most of these teams. Getting caught in those fights was a bad idea. I mean, we saw first Miramar match of the day had the exact same sort of cluster feeling that the one yesterday did, where it was teams on teams on teams getting involved in 3rd, 4th, and 5th parties.
Yeah. I mean, towards the end, I want to see a little bit better usage of the utilities. Team like Ghost, in the end, they used 9 smokes, I think.
All right next to each other.
All next to each other. And it didn't make sense at all. It would be like 1, maybe 2 nades maximum, and you would have killed everyone that would be inside there.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way that they used the nades was, I'm curious to talk to them later and say, like, why did you stack them up like that?
Yeah, Guys, we have a bit more time. We can chat about this matchup before we get the scoreboard up. We're tallying things up. So, Steve, would you like to add?
Yeah, I mean, we just watched the replay there, so we can talk a little bit about that movement. Incognito is a team that has been a little bit under the radar right now, but that was very clean. The idea of holding Graveyard Hill and Moria and then making sure that they always had a high chance of circle.
Yeah.
When they lose that, collapsing. When they lose the circle again, collapsing. And one of the things in this game we talk about is when you get the circle or when you don't and how you play it differently. They showed us how a team should play when you're chasing the circle, right? Be okay with sitting on an edge, clearing a spot in front of you, and then advancing. And you get the advantage of 8 kills because they were able to pick off the Rumblers while they fought Singularity. They messed around with G2, they messed around with Singularity, they messed around with Ghost, as they all tried to find spots on the downhill.
Also, not being afraid of actually killing and shooting people, because a lot of the teams, they can be afraid sometimes. They see an opportunity, but they don't know if they want to take it or not, because if they start shooting, people will start focusing on you. So it's very important that sometimes you have to be aggressive, sometimes you need to be passive, and they play that right.
I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's tempting to let them run past, and hey, and it's the pub thing, right? It's the same idea. If you want to get better in your pub games, just take the shot. You get better because you're taking the shot, but also because you're going to hit it. You build that confidence level that comes with it. So when we see teams that are willing to sort of take those frag fights, take the risk, look for the 50-50, it only means that they're getting better.
Is there a team that stands out of the field that we have here that you think is the best at taking those fights, or potentially the most feared by the other teams?
I mean, I think we said it upstairs, like, don't pull up on Liquid, right?
Yeah.
One of those things that if you pull up on Liquid, they're going to stop and they're going to jump out and they're going to destroy you. FaZe is very similar in that context.
I mean, it's even if you pin down one of the Liquid guys, that guy would just try to hold you on and get some backup from the other ones, and then they're just going to fall on top of you and just kill you all.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Our scores are now ready from match number 10. Let's get that up on screen. G2 Esports, 24 points. That's a very healthy score at the end. Second place goes to Pittsburgh Knights with 12. Incognito in third. Ghost should be happy with 9 as well. Only 3 kills, though. They could have really padded out their score if they'd picked up a few more kills, but their placement was good.
The placement was good, but in the end, you want to get more kills. 70% of the points are coming from the kills. They had good positioning to play from. They just needed to end Na'Vi earlier so they could push further to the south.
Ghost is not playing aggressively. They're an apparition of their former selves, and I'm not happy with what we're seeing here. Sure, placement is strong, but kills are better. They are a team that should be fragging aggressively. We sometimes joke about them being poltergeists in the scene because they're terrifying when they push you, but they're not doing that right now. They're more of a Casper than anything else, and they need to pick it up.
And with G2 winning match 10, we see them moving into first place. I think that's the first time today that we've seen Liquid drop down from that number 1 spot. Moving forward, let's take a look at our knockdown leaders. Lukey, boy, my God, you don't only finish the kills, you get a bunch of knockdowns as well. 21. Poker Moladoy with 19 total, 18 for Chris, Mexi with 17, and then Snark with the Pittsburgh Knight on 15.
I mean, no kills without any knocks, right? Currently, Luke sitting here, you can see with 24 kills. He's on every leaderboard we have.
You know what, we started today and I said, it's Chris? He's not on the kill leaderboard. He was the top killer in PEL. They had a slowish first day, in my opinion, and you said they were going to step up and bring it today. It's Chris is now in second place. But put that in context, right? He wasn't even up there when we started today. We're 4 games in and now he's in second place. Like, that is a little bit terrifying to see G2 start to really get that momentum. To see Chris start to feel comfortable is when everyone else gets very uncomfortable.
Patrick, Steve, thank you so much. We are now ready to go to a short break. Don't go anywhere though, 2 more matches to come today.